English, you would say, I have one book, I have two books. Of course, you know about singular and plural nouns. But did you know that there are many common words in English that don't have a plural form? Today you'll learn why you should never add s to these common words. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. What do you think about this sentence? I have some informations for you. I hear this from students, even my most advanced students, but this sentence is incorrect. You must say, I have some information for you. So never add s to information. You could also say, if you wanted to specify one, you could say, I have a piece of information for you. So here you're saying a piece of. Now that means one. If you wanted to make it sound like two, you would say, I have two pieces of information for you. So notice you add the s to pieces, which is the unit of measurement, but you never add s to information. Now you could always change the word and say, I have some reports or some articles for you, because both of these words take a plural form. You can add an s to them. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now you might be wondering, Jennifer, why can't I add s? Well, it's because information and all the words that you'll learn in this lesson are uncountable nouns, which means they don't have a plural form. So you say, I need some information. Even though some sounds plural more than one, you don't add an s. So you don't say informations. Now also notice that you don't use singular articles. So you don't add a or an. You can simply say, I need information, not an information. And also notice you can use a quantifier, some, or a unit of measurement, which in this case is a piece of. What do you think about this sentence? She gave me many furnitures. This sentence is incorrect because furniture is an uncountable noun. Because it's an uncountable noun, you also cannot say many. Instead, you can say, she gave me some furniture, much furniture, or a lot of furniture. Or you can use a unit of measurement. She gave me a piece of furniture. You can also use an item of furniture. Or you could use a noun that is a regular noun. She gave me a couch, 2 tables, and 3 chairs. So also remember, many is used with plural countable nouns. Some, much, a lot of are used with uncountable nouns. You can't say she shared all her researches on the topic because research is an uncountable noun. She shared all her research. Never add an s to research on the topic. Now you can use a different verb. With research, it's common to use do or conduct research. She's done or conducted so much research. Or you can use a countable noun. She's done 1 study, 2 studies on the topic. You can also say she presented her research findings at the conference. You can add findings, which is always plural, and then research tells you what type of findings. You can't say, I need more evidences before I decide. You can say, I need more evidence before I decide. Or you can use a countable noun. I need more facts, statistics before I decide. Now,
If you want to use a unit of measurement, you can say the police found 2 pieces. Remember that as goes on the unit of measurement. 2 pieces of evidence, and maybe even use an adjective. 2 key pieces of evidence. Don't say, I need to pack some stuffs for the trip. I need to pack some stuff, an uncountable noun. Now, you can use I need to pack some things because things is countable, or simply items for the trip. Now, both stuff and things, this represents unspecified items. In this context, it sounds like possessions, but it can also represent tasks that you need to do. I'm sure you have said, I have so much stuff to do tonight. Or I have so many things to do tonight.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
Don't say the gym bought many equipments. You can say the gym bought much, so much, a lot of equipment. Or you can say they gave us 3 pieces, remember with that S, of equipment, no S. Or you can use a countable noun. They bought 3 sets of weights. So notice here, set of is the unit of measurement, but because weight is a regular noun, you still add that S because it's plural. They bought 3 sets of weights, 5 treadmills, and 10 mats. I certainly hope you don't say I did all my English homeworks because homework is an uncountable noun. I did all my English homework, never with an S. Or you can say I did 3 assignments, a regular noun, tasks, presentations, reports, and you can even add homework before. I did 3 homework assignments to let you know what type of assignments. Also make sure you say I have tons of work to do. I have tons of homework, I have tons of work. Never with an S, they're uncountable nouns, they're always singular. And also, do not say, Jennifer, thanks for all your feedbacks. You need to say thanks for all your feedback because it's an uncountable noun. Countable nouns are thanks for your corrections with an S, comments, suggestions, revisions, or changes. Now, you could say the teacher gave me 3 pieces of feedback or 3 corrections, for example. Also, don't say, Jennifer, I appreciate your helps. You may know this. Help is an uncountable noun. I appreciate your help. Help, support, guidance, assistance, care, they are all uncountable nouns, so never add an S. And do not say, I want to learn new vocabularies with an S. Vocabulary is uncountable. I want to learn new vocabulary. Or you can use a countable noun. I want to learn new words, phrases, nouns, phrasal verbs, idioms, expressions, many other countable nouns. Now, what about this sentence? The students have limited vocabularies. This is correct. In this sentence, vocabularies in the plural form, it sounds like Paul has a limited vocabulary. Jane has a limited vocabulary. Paul and Jane have limited vocabularies. So it is two individual vocabularies together. Don't say the traffics are bad today. Traffic is uncountable, but also remember that it may impact your verb choice. So you need a singular verb conjugation with uncountable nouns. The traffic is bad today. Countable nouns are the roads, the streets, the highways. Now, because they're plural, you need are. The roads are bad today. Or you can say there are so many cars on the road. Don't tell someone you need more sleeps. Just say you need more sleep. And equally, rest is an uncountable noun. But naps is a countable noun. You need more naps. I had 3 naps today. Also, remember that sleep is a verb. So if you see it with an S, she sleeps for 8 hours every night. This is because it's the verb conjugated in the present simple with third person singular. If it were a noun, it's uncountable, so no S. She gets 8 hours of sleep. So sleep is a noun and get is the verb in this sentence. Don't say you need to make more progresses. Progress is an uncountable noun. You need to make more progress. Or use a countable noun. You need to make more improvements or developments. Again, these can be verbs. So you could say you need to progress, to improve, to develop more, but those are verbs. Don't say, I heard some great musics. Simply, I heard some great music, uncountable. But common countable nouns, I heard a great song. Because remember, if it's singular and countable, you need either a number, one great song, or an article, a great song. 2 great songs with the S. Or you can say, I heard 3 new artists, bands at the music festival. Just like music, don't say, I heard some great poetries. Again, that's an uncountable noun. I heard some great poetry. Poems is countable. So you can say, I heard some great poems. Or maybe she wrote 3 books of poetry. So book of is the unit of measurement. Books of poetry or 3 great books of poems. Because remember, poems is countable. Don't say, we had so many funs last night. You may know that doesn't sound great. Say, we had so much fun last night. You can also use a great time. We had a great time last night, and you can use a different adjective. We had an amazing time. Now, this is a countable noun. So we had some great times together over the years. So one great time, one great time, one great time, and together it's countable.
You're doing such a great job. Now let's keep going and focus more on the articles a and an. This is an area where I see a lot of mistakes. With these words, you already know you should never add s, but you should also never add a or an. What do you think about this sentence? I need a bread. Is this correct or incorrect? This is incorrect because you should never add a or an to this word. You can simply omit the article and say, I need bread. You can also use a quantifier, I need some bread, or you can use a unit of measurement. I need a loaf of bread. This, of course, means the full bread, but if you only want one piece, you can use a different unit of measurement. You can say, I need a slice of bread. What about this sentence? Can I give you an advice? This is incorrect. You can say, can I give you some advice? You can omit the article as well, but it's very common to use the word some. But remember, advice is always singular. So you cannot say, even though I hear it every day, even from my advanced students, you cannot say, can I give you some advices? Because the word advices does not exist in English. You can also use a unit of measurement, and in this case, it's can I give you a piece of advice if you want to specify one. So do you want me to give you more advice on how to use articles correctly? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. Now notice that you must memorize the specific measurement word used with the uncountable noun because they're different. We saw a loaf of bread, a slice of bread, a piece of advice. So make sure you're paying attention to those. You can't say he has a money because money is an uncountable noun, but you can say he has some money, he has a lot of money, or you can make this negative and say he doesn't have a lot of money. Now in this case, the unit of measurement would be dollars for American money. He has $1, which represents $1. He has $200. So notice here you put the S because it is countable. Now you could also say he has a bill, which represents paper money, and you can say he has a $10 bill, for example. Many food items are considered uncountable. We already saw bread, and you cannot say, can you buy a lettuce? You can't use an article with lettuce. There's an interesting unit of measurement. We say, can you buy a head of lettuce, which represents one lettuce. Or what a native speaker would say is simply, can you buy lettuce? Now, if you want to be specific about the quantity, you cannot say, can you buy 2 lettuces? Because lettuce is uncountable. So you would have to take the unit of measurement and make that plural. Can you buy 2 heads with the S? 2 heads of lettuce. So remember, it's the unit of measurement that takes the plural form, not the uncountable noun. Make sure you don't say, we need a milk. You would simply say, we need milk, omit the article. You can use a quantifier, we need some milk or more milk. Now, if you want to use a unit of measurement, do you know what it is? Now, in North America, you can either get a carton of milk, which is a smaller size, or a jug of milk, which is a larger size. You can't say, I bought a clothing. The word clothing is uncountable, but you can absolutely say, I bought a shirt, a sweater, a skirt, a bag, a purse, or many other items. Or you can say, I bought some clothing. Remember, no S, but you can also say clothes, which has the S on it. The unit of measurement for clothing, which is uncountable, is I bought an item of clothing. Now remember, when your unit of measurement starts with a vowel sound, you need an instead of a. An item of clothing. So an item of clothing would represent a skirt or a shirt. It could also be a pair of jeans. So notice, jeans is always plural, but the unit of measurement, the singular unit, is a pair of jeans, a pair of pants, a pair of shoes, or a pair of mittens, because there are always 2 with those items. Now you can't say, I bought an item of clothes, because it always has the plural form, but you can say, I bought some clothes. You can't say, I heard an interesting news today. So there's an adjective interesting, but it's an news, or a news without the adjective. That doesn't work. You can use a modifier and say, I heard some interesting news today. That sounds natural. Or the unit of measurement, do you know what it is? I heard an interesting piece of news today. Now that means one. So if you want to refer to three separate things, you would say, I heard three interesting pieces with the S of news, also with the S today. Keep in mind, news is uncountable, but it's always spelled with an S, but it's conjugated as singular, so it's conjugated as it. The news, it, is interesting. Now you can't ask someone, do you take a sugar in your coffee? You would simply say, do you take sugar in your coffee? Or you can use any in the question form. Do you take any sugar in your coffee? And to answer, you can say, yes, I take 1 cube, 1 spoonful, or 1 packet of sugar, depending on how the sugar comes. So to make that plural, you would say, yes, I take 2 cubes. In the context of sugar, you can even drop that because it's obvious, but you could also say 2 cubes of sugar. Now just note that conversationally, natives will say, yes, I take 1 sugar or 2 sugars to simply represent 2 spoonfuls or packets of sugar, but keep in mind this isn't a general rule. This is specifically with sugar in drinks, even though sugar is uncountable. Continuing with food, you can say, do you want a cheese? Again, in a question form, use the modifier any. Do you want any cheese? Or you can offer, do you want a slice of cheese? That would be for a sandwich. Now, just to eat as a snack, you can ask someone, do you want a piece of cheese? And often they come in very pretty cubes at parties with a toothpick. Do you want a cube of cheese? Now, to refer to the whole cheese, you can say, do you want a brick of cheese? Don't say, I need a paper, but you can say, I need a sheet of paper. You could also say a piece of paper, but sheet is the most common. Or you can ask someone, do you have any paper? And then they might ask you, oh, how many sheets do you need? Or sheets of paper. But if it's obvious that it's paper, you can drop that and just use the unit of measurement. Keep in mind, paper is uncountable when referring to the material that you write on. But paper is countable when referring to the information or documents. For example, I have a paper to review. This is 1 document, so 1 sheet of paper with information on it. Or you might say, there are so many papers on her desk, because remember, as the countable noun, it can be singular or plural. So here, this represents there are so many documents, so again, sheets of paper with information on them. You can't say he bought her a jewelry. But you can use the unit of measurement and say he bought her a piece of jewelry, which is 1 item. But the actual name of the jewelry, you can say he bought her a ring, a necklace, or a bracelet. But earrings, there are always 2. So in that case, it's always plural. He bought her earrings. But you could certainly say, oh no, I lost a earring to represent 1. So it is possible. Now to put these together, you can say he bought her 2 pieces, with that S, 2 pieces of jewelry, a ring, and a matching bracelet. Don't say, do you have a luggage? That doesn't work, but you can say, do you have a bag or a suitcase? So bag and suitcase are regular nouns, singular, plural, but luggage is a collective noun. But for all 3, you can say, do you have any luggage? But any is a plural word. So for bags and suitcases, you would add the S. Do you have any luggage, bags, or suitcases? You can reply and say, yes, I have 1 piece of luggage, or yes, I have 2 pieces of luggage. Now let's talk about soap. You can't say, I made you a soap, but there is a unit of measurement. Do you know what it is? I made you a bar of soap, a bar of soap. Or I made you 3 bars of soap. Or again, the quantifier, I made you some soap. You can't say, I have a sand in my eye, because the word sand is uncountable. You would simply say, I have sand in my eye, because usually you don't specify the quantity. It's common to use some. I have some sand in my eye. But if you want to be precise, the unit of measurement is I have a grain of sand in my eye. Let's go back to cooking. You can't say, did you buy a butter? So it's common to just omit the article and just say, did you buy butter? Again, in a question form, it's common to add any. Did you buy any butter? Now, there is a unit of measurement. Did you buy a stick of butter? Now, this unit of measurement, a stick of, is commonly used for recipes. So you'll see this recipe calls for, which means requires, 2 sticks of butter. And just a fun fact, 1 stick of butter is half a cup of butter, which is another unit of measurement. Now, you also can't say, I have a toothpaste. So toothpaste is a collective noun. You would just say, I have toothpaste. You could say, I have enough toothpaste or a lot of toothpaste. So you don't always have to just say some. There are other modifiers that you can use. But there is a unit of measurement. Do you know what that is? I have a tube of toothpaste, a tube of toothpaste. You could say, I bought 3 tubes of toothpaste. They were buy 2, get 1 free. Buy 2 tubes, get 1 tube free. These are the most common collective nouns that I hear mistakes with. Do you want me to keep making lessons on articles for you? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.